What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to be going over some of the best heroes for your account in the early and mid game. And we're just talking about like 5-star heroes. You're not really investing in them. You're bringing these really good hero copies up to level like 100. You're not taking them past that because, of course, in the early and mid game, the most important thing is you don't take anything past 5-star that you don't plan on using as food. So yeah, we might have seen some bad examples on some of our accounts here and there, but ultimately, every hero you build over 6-star should be built to a 9 or 10-star and then become a food. So these are the heroes that are good to keep on your account. Pretty much at 5-star, level 100, they have a lot of really good uses. Do not discount these. I think that's actually what we're going to be naming this video is don't like discount these heroes at 5-star. They are really good. They really affect your team's overall power. I've used every single one of these on an early game account lately, and they just make your team feel that much better. And we're talking about like PvP, PvE, Tower of Oblivion, Sealand, all these different places. They do make an impact. So let's jump right into it. So coming in at number 5 is going to be Tix. Tix is a great, well-rounded hero. Saving up his copies for later on to build him as like your second or third E5 is honestly the best strategy you could have out there. He has some really cool abilities. His active, his basics, they all lower the attack of the enemies. So the incoming damage to your team is going to be significantly lower. It's actually a really good thing. He even has a chance to silence and horrify the targets on his active ability. His basic attack still, still hits one target. That's fine. Lowers the attack, but he also swaps the attack values up to a certain percentage of his attack every single round. So that means, again, you're just stealing more attack from the enemies. It's really good. And also he has his Revenging Wraith ability. So this is his last passive ability. When he dies, he inflicts the enemy who killed Tix with Revenging Wraith. That's going to deal 10% of the target's max HP at the end of every single round. When the target is killed, it will then deal damage against all surviving enemies for 10% of their HP. So it doesn't go over 25% of his attack. So it's not going to be actually 10% in reality because you're going to have him at 5-star. You're going to be fighting much stronger opponents because, of course, you're going to have your first E5 or at least your first E5 project in the works. Like us, we're building like Fiona on the brand new free-to-play account. Having a couple ticks on your team actually wouldn't be that bad of an idea. Can add some damage to your team, definitely add survivability, and that's why I think he's one of the great ones to keep at 5-star while you're building other heroes. Coming in at number 4 is going to be my man Rogan. You know I love this hero. He's absolutely amazing in the end game for his speed buffs and everything. He can still do some good chip away damage. But honestly, at a 5-star, he adds a lot of power to your first E5, second E5, wherever you are. He adds a lot of power to your account. Mainly, I think you guys have probably heard this a ton of times, but for those that are new, Warpath Roar is his bread and butter. When the battle starts, increasing all allies 10 speed, that's not that important, but also increases them 10% crit damage for 2 rounds. Then if he lives past that first round, he's going to be giving all allies 10% attack and 5% crit for 2 rounds, and that happens at the end of every single round. Big bonus if you're building some sort of assassin, they enjoy double of those bonuses. I like how they say enjoy double the bonuses. Instead of they get double, they enjoy double the bonus. But this right here is absolutely huge. Just more stats added to your team. And then if that right there is not enough to just give your team more stats, his active ability gives the Bloodthirsty effect. That one is when a hero is granted Bloodthirsty and they release an active or basic attack, they will deal extra damage equal to 10% of the target's lost HP, and that damage caps on the hero that has Bloodthirsty. So if you hit your first or second E5, that means they're going to be doing it based on their attack, not your little 5-star Rogan. And it's also a nice heal. It restores heroes HP by 10% of the total damage done. Not a ton of them. You can only stack one time. It is what it is. But he's really good, and he is surprisingly strong as a 5-star in the early game at chipping away at higher power targets. Like if you're in Tower of Oblivion, it's actually really good having some Rogans, especially if you just need a little bit of extra boost damage to your team. The Warpath Roar is absolutely amazing, and that's why I think he's the number 4 best 5-star to have on your early game team. Next up at number 3 is gonna be Amon-Ra. She has been pretty much like required on most people's accounts for so many different methods, whether it's cheesing out the mim waves in Tower of Oblivion, helping clear Sealand 20 in the Dark faction, or just being an all well-around counter healer. Essentially just turns all the healing into damage. So we're gonna go over her abilities. They're pretty cool. One nice ability is that rounds of being controlled is -1. So if she gets affected by a CC effect that only lasts 1 round, she essentially just un-CCs herself at the beginning of next round, which is really, really cool. Her Terrible Feast, I actually never knew that was the name of this passive, but whenever an ally releases a skill, Amon-Ra is going to do some ping damage. Not really a big deal at 5-star. It's not going to add up to be that much, but Healing Charm is one of the really great things she has. Each basic attack curses enemies 2 times, each time inflicting healing curse on 1 random enemy. So she's going to throw 2 random curses at, and what that does is that's going to offset the next healing effect that target receives and turn it into 50% of its damage. So basically negates the entire heal and then deals 50% of that heal as damage to the target. Of course, once you get up to like 10-star, that becomes 100% or higher. Actually, I think it's 100%. But honestly, this right here is a nice effect to stop healing. But the main reason why you want a 5-star Amon-Ra on your team is going to be for her active ability, Shadow, Defense, and yes, it has a chance to petrify the front row of the enemies. Don't really care about that, but grants all allies 1 layer of Guardian Shadow. Now Guardian Shadow is really sweet because this is a skill effect that negates damage from the next attack and turns 50% of the damage into healing, which is really, really good. So it completely negates the damage your ally would take, whether it's your other 5-stars, your E5, your second E5, your E3, whatever you have, and turn it into healing. So it only negates damage 1 time, does not affect monsters, passive skills, or mark damage, but it turns you into healing and negates some damage. You all know the power of a baby Amon-Ra when it comes to Dark Sealand. Having 3 or 4 of these 5-stars can help you get it done with a void imprinted hero as your main damage dealer. She's just absolutely amazing. The Guardian Shadow can be great, especially if you can get a magic source or something for energy on her very, very early game. These shields are going to be amazing. Now coming in at number 2 is our brand new light faction priest, Andrea, aka Dre. So this hero is actually really, really blowing my mind when it comes to the early game. I was tempted to put him at number 1, but no one can really take the number 1 slot from the hero that we picked. So he's coming in at number 2. His abilities are just so great at keeping your team alive. Normally you want to put him in a slot that is not going to get hit that much because you do want him to get hit more than your other 5-stars, because especially in the very early game, you have 1 hero you're building up. Like in our example, we're kind of be focusing on Fiona as our first E5. We're not going to build anything else above a 5-star besides that Fiona. Well, you're going to need to fill your team up with 5-stars. If you put Andrea in a very safe spot, it is going to be very, very lucrative. So already has 10% damage reduction, which is really, really nice. The basic attack is going to give him some precision for the whole ally team, which is more damage. Not a lot, but it is some. But Holy Legacy, this is where it really becomes spicy. When the battle starts, grant self 1 layer of Glorious Blessing. Whenever an ally is dead, aka dies, restores all allies' HP equal to 150% of attack, increases their damage reduction by 6% for 4 rounds, and restores the ally whose HP is lower than 50% equal to 150% of attack. That is pretty sweet. So when your other 5-stars are dying off, because they're going to die off, that's just how the early game is. The 5-stars die off, like they're basically just meat shields. But if you have certain heroes, which we'll go over here in a second, like Carrie, that can recur themselves, they can revive, die over and over. This buff can actually become very significant, even if the heal is not huge, which it does make a significant difference early game, especially if you're investing in some priest tech. The damage reduction will be really nice because that damage reduction can stack and it lasts for 4 rounds. So, I mean, technically, if you have 4 other heroes die, you have your main E5 and Andrea. That's not bad. That's 24% damage reduction. That's nothing to scoff at. That's the difference of clearing a Tower of Oblivion wave or not. So that is very significant. And then, of course, the active ability is nice because even as a 5-star, this heal is decent. But it also, his attack will hit front row enemies, will lower their damage reduction for 3 rounds, and give your allies 10% holy damage. Again, that's not insignificant. Those buffs to your team in PvE are going to be good. The death passes going to be really good. Synergizes extremely well with Carrie as well. So yeah, definitely number 2 on my list. So as an honorable mention, because I know if I don't include Heartwatcher on this list at all, I'm going to get some like, why is Heartwatcher not there? Well, that's because typically you don't want to leave your Heartwatcher just at a 5-star in the early game. Heartwatcher is kind of that one exception hero that building her to 9-star early game with your other main hero is not the worst idea, because 5-star isn't going to be able to stack those Watcher marks quite fast enough to make that much of a difference when we're talking about PvE. Typically, I say building a 9-star Heartwatcher early game, if you can get the copies, is not a bad idea. But if you can't get the copies and you have one Heartwatcher, she's absolutely great in PvE only. So we're talking about guild bosses, broken spaces, and that's about it. You don't want to use her anywhere else. That's why I kind of put her off this list. She's an honorable mention, but we got to jump to our number 1 hero next. Yeah, I bet some of you guessed it. The number 1 hero on my list for the best 5 stars to support your team in the very early and mid game is going to be Carrie. Carrie is kind of one of the most broken 5 stars, I would say, in the game. She still has the chance to dodge attacks even at 5-star, which honestly is kind of crazy. Her basic attack is kind of nuts. So you wouldn't think it would work like this, but the basic attack will target one random enemy, increasing their energy by 20 points, and then inflicting Outburst of Magic. Outburst of Magic is still very strong. Every 1 point of energy the target has, it will receive 2% attack damage, and its energy bar is zeroed. The fact that a 5-star carry still zeroes out an energy bar and doesn't like just lower at 30 or 40 or 50 points, completely zeroes it out, makes this hero so useful for energy neglecting, for just getting rid of that energy denial on the enemy team, on the bosses, whatever you're fighting. This hero carry with this energy reduction honestly is a great 5-star even for PvE content. Why? Because the less active abilities the bosses are doing, the less damage your team's taking, the longer your 5-stars stay alive, the longer your E5 stays alive, the longer everybody lives. And people don't really, I don't think they realize how good a 5-star carry is in the very early game, because building a dark hero is a long, arduous process. It takes a while to build a dark hero up. So leaving Carrie at 5-star is an amazing idea. Now, Shadow Spirit, yes, when Carrie dies, she will become a shadowy spirit for 4 rounds and get 1 layer of spirit power. When she gets up to 4 layers of that, she will revive at 50% HP. Kind of just disgusting that she can revive that quickly as a 5-star as well. So, you know how we talked about Andrea having really cool synergy with the top number 1 hero, aka Carrie? Well, imagine if you can somehow get a couple Carrie copies, a couple Andrea copies this week, and then you have like your main E5 hero. That means you're gonna have 2 carries dying over and over. Andrea's just healing the team back up, giving damage reduction. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea. I've tried it on my free-to-play account. Not the one that you got, not the new season, but one of my other free-to-play accounts that has a couple carries. It is a very crazy interaction. Andrea plus Carrie in the early game, absolutely nuts. And then energy devouring, the active ability. The active hits 4 targets. That's really good. Has a 20% chance to inflict the devouring mark, which is a very low chance compared to when she's at 10-star or above. But this is going to mark the target's energy when it reaches 100 or above. It's going to completely zero out the energy and deal damage. Very strong. So what do you guys think about the list? Would you change anything on it? If you are a newer player, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We try to give you guys these little tips and tricks all the time on the channel. We have all the news, we've got all the tier lists, we've got all the new updates coming out, we got the new hero reviews, and we try to give you guys some awesome little feedback like this, because I know the majority of you guys watching this probably only have 1 or 2 or 3 E5s. I mean, the good majority of players are in that middle game where it's like they don't have a full E5 lineup just yet. They need to find support heroes that they can add to their team that are going to really skyrocket their value of their overall account. So these heroes are going to be really, really good. Andrea as a 5-star, absolutely amazing, especially when you pair him with Carrie. That is a really cool combo. Dying over and over, healing, getting buffs, all that fun stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.